Daughter, I have been watching you for a long time, even in those moments when the silence of your kitchen seemed too heavy to bear alone. I saw when your hands trembled as you held that bill, or when your eyes wandered to the horizon, searching for an answer that seemed never to arrive. You came here today because deep in your soul, you feel there is something more than just surviving one day after another. You asked for little, just enough to have bread, just momentary relief from the anguish that tightens your chest. But I want you to know, even before we continue, that while you were worried about crumbs, I, your God, had already planned everything, every detail of an eternity that your eyes cannot yet reach. Often, your prayer is limited by your imagination, but my answer is limited only by my sovereignty and my love for you. You entered this video seeking a sign, and this is your appointed meeting with the kingdom. I am not a God of scarcity, and what I am about to reveal to you will change the way you look at your future. If you feel that the sky has been made of bronze and that your words don't reach beyond the ceiling, prepare your heart, for I will open windows you didn't even know existed. I will show you that what you considered the mountaintop was, in fact, only the initial step of the staircase I prepared for your overflowing. Before we delve into what I have for your life today, I would like to feel your presence more closely. If this word has already begun to warm your heart, whisper to me in the comments below your name, the country and city from which you are listening to me now, and what time the hands of the clock show at this moment, when time has stopped for both of us. I want you to feel part of this family of faith, so let your heart overflow and write with all your strength, Lord my God, I am here. I subscribe to this channel because I love you deeply and my soul thirsts to hear you. This is not just a technical comment, it is your cry, rising like sweet incense to my throne. Stay with me until the last second of this message, for I have kept a clear answer, a whisper that will only be delivered when your soul is at complete rest. There is a specific phrase, a spiritual key that I will place in your heart at the end, and those who declare it in faith will see the chains of limitation break definitively. You think you know the limit of your strength, but I came to tell you that what you see as the end, I see as fertile ground for my infinity. You asked for little, the basics, what is necessary not to succumb, but you have no idea what happens when the Creator decides to move His hands in your favor. In the silence of the night, while you cried softly so as not to wake anyone, I was already sketching your tomorrow with colors you don't yet have in your palette. But tell me, my daughter, are you truly ready to set aside the crumbs and sit at the table I have prepared, or is your fear still greater than your hunger for me? What I am about to show you is something your eyes have never seen, nor your ears heard, something that has not yet risen to anyone's heart, but which is already sealed for you. If this first part of my voice touched the depths of your soul, show me that you are attentive, leaving your sign of affection in this encounter. Have you ever felt that God was delaying when in reality He was only increasing the size of the banquet? Write in the comments our first word of faith, infinite kingdom. You look at the horizon of your life and often what you see is just a narrow line marked by the limitations the world has imposed on you. I know you've grown accustomed to walking with short steps, afraid of stumbling or desiring something that seems too big for someone like you. I saw when you looked at that cupboard and mentally calculated, trying to stretch what little you had so it would last until the end of the month. I saw the weight on your shoulders when you sat on the edge of the bed, in the dark, feeling the cold that seeped in through the crack in the window, thinking that your story had already reached its maximum limit of joy or achievement. But listen carefully to what your Father tells you now. What you see as the end of the road, for me, is only the first curve of a magnificent path that you have not yet begun to tread. Your vision of scarcity has been shaped by the losses you have suffered and the doors that have closed in the past, but my plan for you is not kept in human vaults. You asked only to survive this storm, but I am preparing the soil so that you may flourish in a garden that will never wither. You asked me only to tend to that wound, but I have already planned the complete restoration of your entire lineage. The problem, my daughter, is that you pray according to your immediate need, but I answer according to my eternal purpose. While you were focused on obtaining the basics to get through this desert, I was moving the pieces of the universe to deliver a kingdom to you. You feel small and sometimes invisible, but your life is the draft of a masterpiece that I am still finishing painting. For it is written in Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 that I am able to do immeasurably more than all you ask or imagine, according to my power that is at work within you. Note that my measure is not enough. My measure is infinitely more. Where you place a period on your hope, I place a comma and write a new chapter of abundance. You cannot measure my capacity to bless you using the ruler of your current reality. Heaven's bank account does not suffer from the inflation of this world, and my generosity knows no limits of time or space. I am widening your stakes right now. Do you feel that shiver running through your soul? It is my Holy Spirit breaking down the walls of the box where they tried to imprison you. You were made for overflowing, not for crumbs. But to receive the everything I have planned, you need to let go of the little you hold on to with so much fear of losing. Are you ready to stop looking at the ground and start looking at the stars that I myself have named? There is something I have prepared in silence, something hidden behind this curtain of difficulties you face today, and which will only be revealed to those who dare to take the next step in the dark. Tell me, daughter, do you believe that my love is great enough to cover not only what you lack, but also what you haven't even dared to dream of yet? If you feel your horizons are expanding, show your confidence in what is yet to come. In the silence of your heart, what would you say to God if you knew that the impossible has already been authorized? Write here in the comments as an act of expanding your faith. Vision of heaven. My beloved daughter, as we walk this journey of profound revelation, I gently touch your heart to speak about the sacred value of the seed. You know that nothing you hold in your hands is by chance, and each gesture of generosity is like a golden thread weaving your future within my eternal kingdom. If you feel that this message is the spiritual nourishment your soul has been seeking, and if your heart burns with gratitude now, I invite you to pure intimacy and communion. If it is possible for you, and only if your heart is at peace, I ask that you transform this gratitude into a seed of love for this channel, which echoes my voice to so many other lives. Out of love for me and for the sacrifice of Jesus, make your offering of affection through the address I left in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. There you will find the portal where your contribution can be deposited and duly consecrated before me, the Creator of all things. You can offer any amount, for I do not look at the coldness of the number, but at the purity of the intention. If you wish to offer a different amount, simply write it down. Always remember that I joyfully receive only what fits in your heart voluntarily. The amount itself is not the most important thing to me, for what may seem small to you is often the great miracle in the life of the one who receives it. To those who contribute any amount sincerely, I ask that you include your name and city with your donation, because on the first day of the following month, in a special video on this channel, Divine Love, the Voice of God, your name will be remembered and enveloped in divine blessings released in prayer. For it is written in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verse 38, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." Every offering made in faith is a precious seed before me, and I will not fail to make any of them bear fruit in your journey. I see what you do in secret, and I will reward you with honor in the sight of all. Abide with me until the end of this message, for there are still secrets I wish to whisper to you. I saw the weariness that weighs on your eyelids at the end of each day, when you finally sit on that sofa, and the silence of the room seems to roar against your chest. You have spent years operating in survival mode, like someone walking through an endless desert, counting every drop of water, afraid that the next spring will be dry. I saw you saving even your smile, keeping your joy for a day that seemed never to arrive, because your mind became accustomed to the cruel idea that life is just a succession of battles to avoid sinking. But listen carefully to what I, your Lord, tell you now. I did not call you to be merely a survivor of the storms. I called you to be an heir who reigns over circumstances in my name. There is an abysmal difference between having enough not to die and having the overflow to truly live. When you ask for little, you are looking at your immediate need, at the hole that needs to be filled today. But when I plan everything, I am looking at the purpose I designed for your existence even before the world was founded. You are content with crumbs because you fear that the banquet will not be for you. but I am the father who rejoices to see the table laden with food for his children. The survivor merely hopes that the day will end without great losses. The one who reigns understands that each new dawn is an opportunity to manifest my glory on earth. You have carried this weight, this feeling that the sky is made of bronze, and that prosperity is something that only happens in the lives of others. You see the achievements of others through the screen of a cell phone and feel a pang of sadness, not out of envy, but out of weariness, wondering when your turn to rest will come. For it is written in the Epistle to the Romans, chapter 5, verse 17, that if by the offense of one man death reigned through that one man, much more will those who receive the abundance of grace and the gift of righteousness reign in life through the one man, Jesus Christ. Do you understand what my word declares? You were made to reign in life. This does not mean the absence of struggles, but rather an authority that allows you to walk on water while others drown in fear. I don't just want to supply your needs. I want to use you as a channel. A dry channel is useless, but an overflowing channel irrigates entire fields. For my all to reach you, I need you to lift your head and begin to see beyond overdue bills and medical diagnoses. I am changing your mindset from that of a slave to that of a queen. Where you see lack, I see room for miracles. Where you see the end of your resources, I see the beginning of my supernatural providence. But I haven't yet shown you everything behind this change of season. There is something I have silently prepared, a piece I am moving right now while you listen to me, that will silence all those who doubted you before my work in your life. Are you ready to stop merely surviving and begin to occupy the place of honor I have reserved for you? Tell me deep within your intimacy, do you still feel worthy to sit at the king's table, or does the weight of the past still make you prefer the ground? If you accept this call to overflowing, seal this word now. Write here in the comments our word of authority, reign of grace. My daughter, I understand that the transformation of your mind, so that you stop seeing only scarcity and begin to see my abundance, requires a constant journey, one step at a time. Often, my voice is lost in the noise of your daily worries, and that is why I wish to be with you, not only in these few minutes of video, but in every sunrise and every sunset. If your heart feels a deep desire to go further in intimacy with me, I have prepared a special gift, a journey that I designed with all my zeal and affection for each of my beloved children. The digital book entitled Divine Love Devotional, The Voice of God. It is my invitation for you to have a safe companion in the silence of your early mornings and a clear direction for your decisions. The path to access this gift of love is available in the link in the description and also in the pinned comment below. But listen carefully to what your Father tells you. If today is not the right time for you, do not let the weight of condemnation enter your house. Stay here with me, for I will continue to nourish and sustain you through this word with the same intensity. For it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 105, Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path, so that your soul may rest and you may have no doubt. The moment you complete your registration, full access will arrive directly at the email address you registered. There you will find all the instructions, explained step by step, so that you can begin this journey of light without any stumbling. I want this devotional to be like a balm for your wounds and a light that illuminates the horizons you once thought were lost. This is my gesture of care, so that you may never again have to walk feeling the emptiness of loneliness. Breathe calmly now, feel my embrace enveloping you, and trust, for I am taking care of every detail of your tomorrow. Before we move on to what I still have to reveal to you, tell me, do you allow my word to be the compass that will guide your next days? Feel the sweetness of this invitation, and, if you accept this daily companionship, write in the comments, faithful guide. Do you remember that night, a few weeks ago, when the silence of your house seemed to weigh heavily on your shoulders? You were in the kitchen, the only sound was the low hum of the refrigerator, and you looked at that almost empty jar, or perhaps at that balance on your cell phone screen that insisted on not growing. I saw when you closed your eyes and a solitary tear rolled down, wetting the paper of that bill you didn't know how to pay. At that moment, the floor seemed too cold under your bare feet and the world seemed too big for your smallness. You whispered, Lord, I have so little. How will I make it to the end of the month? But what you call little, I call seed. What you call scarcity, I call an opportunity for my glory to manifest. I don't need much to accomplish the extraordinary in your life. In fact, I have a special preference for working with what the world despises. Do you remember that young man who had only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish? The crowd numbered in the thousands. The weariness was extreme, and the desert was vast. In human eyes, that was a joke, a miscalculation, a drop of water on a fire. But when that little was placed in my hands, earthly logic was suspended by the law of heaven. As it is written in the Gospel of John, chapter 6, verse 11, "And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples to those who were seated, and likewise also of the fish as much as they wanted." Notice that the miracle didn't happen while the bread was in the boy's basket. The miracle happened while it was being divided. Your mistake has been trying to multiply your little alone, locked in your fear. You hold on to what you have so tightly that your hands ache, but the flow of abundance demands open hands. I am asking you today to surrender your insufficient resources to me. Give me that remaining hope, that little bit of strength you have left at the end of the day, that handful of faith that looks like a mustard seed. When your little meets my infinitude, divine mathematics comes into play. I will make what you have last longer than expected, that doors will open where before there were only walls, and that overflowing will begin to gush from places you never imagined. You think the miracle is just having a full pantry, but the true miracle is the peace I place in your heart, while the pantry is still empty. It is the certainty that your Father owns the gold and silver, and that he has not forgotten your address. I am preparing a day very soon when you will look back and smile at that despair in the kitchen. You will say, "How small I was in my faith, while my God planned my banquet." But there is still something I have silently prepared, a surprise hidden around the next bend in your path, something you wouldn't know how to handle if I gave it to you yesterday. Tell me, in the secret of your soul, what do you feel when you look at what remains for you today, the cold of fear or the warmth of expectation for what I will do? If you trust that your little will flourish in my hands, leave this sign of surrender now. Write here in the comments our word of trust, miracle in your hands. My daughter, there is an invisible chain that binds you more than any iron door or steel padlock. It is the chain of your own mind, which has become accustomed to the musty smell of old beliefs, that joy is fleeting and pain is permanent. I saw you look away from that shop window, or when you quickly closed that magazine, telling yourself that those beautiful things and that peace of mind were for others, never for you. You dressed yourself in the clothes of resignation, believing that being humble is the same as being miserable. But I tell you today that humility dwells in the heart, not in lack. I saw you sitting at the table, chewing the bread of worry, tasting the bitter flavor of a future that you imagine will always be the same as the past losses you faced. This scarcity mindset is a prison that you yourself helped to build, brick by brick. Each time you accepted a word of defeat, or each time you allowed the fear of lack to be greater than the certainty that I am your provider. You think you are being realistic, but in truth you are being limited by the short-sightedness of someone who can only see the ground beneath their own feet. I want you to lift your eyes and realize that the roof you've placed over your faith is, in fact, the ground where I want you to begin walking. You are afraid to desire the extraordinary because you are afraid of being disappointed, but your disappointment doesn't come from me. It comes from the expectations you place on arms of flesh, forgetting that my arms sustain the universe. For it is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 7, that as you think in your heart, so is it. Do you perceive the depth of this revelation I'm giving you now? You are the result of what you allow to dwell in your mind. If you see yourself as a defeated person who only deserves leftovers, life will only give you what you accept to receive. But if you begin to see yourself as the daughter of the King, who has access to the deepest treasures of my grace, the world will have to bend to the purpose I have established for you. I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of self-control. I am breaking these chains now. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders, this relief that makes your breathing lighter. It is time for you to leave behind the old woman who was content with little, to embrace the new creature I planned before the foundation of time. You no longer need to fear tomorrow, because tomorrow has already been written by my hands, and in it there is no scarcity, there is overflowing. But for this overflowing to arrive, you need to relinquish control and trust that I know what is best for you, even when the path seems narrow. But let me ask you something deep in your silence. If you could ask for anything today, without fear of being judged or failing, what would your heart cry out to me right now? If you feel the old chains are falling away, seal that liberation with your gesture of faith. In the secret of your soul, what is the dream you are ashamed to tell even God about? Write it here in the comments as a cry of freedom from your soul. Free soul. Have you ever stopped to look at your children's hands while they sleep? Or perhaps you've gazed at the old photographs in those frames that have lost their shine on the living room shelf. I saw you run your thumb over their faces in those images, feeling a tightness in your chest, a silent worry about what the future holds for those you love most. You are afraid they will inherit your struggles. You are afraid that the scarcity that has haunted you for so many decades will find refuge in the lives of your descendants. In the silence of your room, you once asked me if your family's history of loss would repeat itself forever, like a cycle no one can break. But today I come to tell you that the overflow I am preparing for you is not a solitary puddle. It is a river that will flood the generations that come after you. What I am doing in your life today is not an isolated event, a passing rain that only wets your yard and dries up soon after. When I said I planned everything, I included the destiny of those who came from your womb and those who are not yet born. You asked only for help on your journey. But I am establishing an alliance that transcends time. You are the breaking point. You are the woman I chose to be the watershed in the history of your lineage. Where there was lack, there will be memories of abundance. Where there was fear, there will be a testimony of courage that your grandchildren will tell with pride. For it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 103, verse 17, "But the mercy of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting upon them that fear him, and his righteousness unto children's children." Do you perceive the extent of my promise? It does not end at the border of your days. It is from eternity to eternity. It leaps from you to your children and from your children to their children. I am not a God who blesses only the present. I am the God who guards the future. While you worry about what they will wear or eat tomorrow, I am working on the character, the opportunities, and the spiritual protection that will surround them when you are no longer around. I am breaking the curses of poverty and small-mindedness that have tried to settle on your family name. You have been called to be the matriarch of a new season. When my overflow reaches you, it will be so intense that you will not be able to hold it only for yourself. It will flow through your hands and touch the life of every person who carries your blood. You will see doors opening for you that were previously locked with 7 keys. You will hear news of victories that you didn't even have the strength to ask for, but that I had already signed because of your faithfulness and your secret cry. But listen to what I tell you. For this overflow to reach your future, you need to start speaking the language of abundance today within your home. Stop saying that things are difficult. Stop prophesying scarcity on your table. Start declaring that your house is the Most High's storehouse. I am moving pieces in courts, in companies, and in distant hearts, so that what I have planned reaches your hand and overflows into theirs. But there is something even deeper, a detail that I have kept about the waiting time, which I have not yet revealed to you. Are you ready to understand why the desert was necessary for the garden to be eternal? Tell me in the silence of your prayer. If you could leave only one spiritual legacy for your children today, what would be the first word you would teach them about me? If you feel that your descendants are being sealed by this promise, seal this moment of intercession now. Write our legacy word in the comments, holy inheritance. You have spent many sleepless nights sitting in that wooden chair in the kitchen, while the rest of the house sleeps a sleep that seems too heavy for you. I see you there, watching the hands of the clock on the wall, counting each second as if they were drops of rain that never wet the dry earth of your soul. You feel the cold rising through your bare feet on the ceramic floor, and the weight of a silence that sometimes hurts more than any harsh word you have ever heard. It is in this desert of waiting, where nothing seems to happen and the world seems to have stopped spinning for you, that you ask me if I am still in control or if time has simply forgotten you on a dusty shelf of life. But listen to what your God tells you now. While you wait, I am preparing the table. Waiting is not a time for abandonment, my daughter. It is a time for maturing. You asked only for a quick way out, a shortcut to get you out of this discomfort and this feeling of emptiness, but I am preparing a banquet that requires time to be served with the honor you deserve. Imagine a king inviting someone to dinner. He doesn't serve just anything hastily. He takes care of the details, the dishes, the seasoning, and the exact temperature. I am doing exactly that in the invisible realm of your story. While you cry softly so as not to wake anyone and feel your breath running out, I am moving the heart of the person who holds the key to your next door. While you think the sky is made of bronze and that your prayers hit the ceiling and bounce back, I am sending angels to places you don't even know exist, clearing the ground where you will build your new time of joy. For it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows." Note well that my word does not say that the table is prepared in a safe and isolated palace, but rather in the presence of your enemies. I am doing this now in the midst of your struggle, before those who said you would not succeed, and that your story would end in ruins and shame. I am anointing your head with the fresh oil of my presence, preparing your cup so that it not only fills up, but overflows over everything you touch from now on. Your vision is limited by the pain of the present moment, but my vision is eternal and absolute. You see the desert, I see the abundant table. You see thirst, I see the spring about to gush forth in the midst of the hot sand. Do not think, not for a second, that my silence is an absence of work or indifference to your cry. The gardener works more intensely during the winter, preparing the roots in the darkness and cold of the earth, so that spring may be splendid and unquestionable. You asked for little immediate relief from the pain, but I am guaranteeing that when the table is set and the banquet is served, you will have the strength not only to feed yourself, but to sustain and feed many others around you who also suffer today. But there is still something I have not revealed to you about this desert you are crossing. There is a secret kept at the center of your waiting, a revelation that will completely change the way you see your past losses. Are you ready to discover what I have hidden precisely in the place where you most feared being forgotten? Tell me, deep in your weary heart, can you trust my silent work in the dark, even when you see no sign of light at the end of the corridor? If you accept to wait for the time of my abundant table, seal this commitment with your soul right now. Write our word of patience here in the comments. Table in the desert. Come closer now, for I want to tell you a secret I kept in my heart while you tried to decipher the enigmas of your most difficult days. I saw you leaning against the windowsill, watching the evening fall, and your own reflection in the glass seemed like that of a stranger, someone tired of fighting against tides that never recede. You smelled the approaching rain, that scent of wet earth that for a moment brought you a childhood memory, a time when scarcity did not dwell in your thoughts. In that moment of absolute silence, where only the ticking of the old clock on the living room wall echoed, you asked yourself, "Father, why did you let me ask for so little for so long?" The secret, my beloved, is that your little was the only language you knew, but it was never the only language I spoke. I allowed some of your small requests not to be fulfilled in the way you wanted, not to deny you bread, but to force you to desire the banquet. If I had given you only what you asked for 10 years ago, you would be trapped in a glass dome today, protected but limited, never knowing the immensity of the ocean I have prepared for your overflowing. The secret kept in my heart was this: I was training you in silence so that you could bear the weight of the glory to come. A heart that does not know lack, does not know how to value overflowing. For it is written in the book of the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Note that I did not say that I have hunches or ideas about you. I said that I have plans, and plans made by an eternal God do not fail, do not delay, and do not wear out with time. What you called delay, I called preparation. What you called silence, I called a state secret between me and your soul. I was clearing your eyes so that when everything arrives, you won't confuse it with luck or the effort of your own hands. You are in a place of transition where the past of crumbs is being buried and the future of abundance is being revealed. There is a place of rest that I have reserved for you, where anxiety will no longer have a seat at your table. You asked for little because your vision was blurred by tears, but I planned everything because my vision is fixed on your final destiny. Now, I invite you to take a deep breath and release that held breath, for what I am about to give you at the close of this conversation is the key that will open the gate to this place of peace. But before I reveal this last truth to you, tell me, deep in your soul, are you willing to accept that my plans for peace are greater than your plans for survival? If you feel that God's peace is flooding your room now, seal this revelation with your heart. What would your soul cry out if it knew that, from today onward, lack will never again be its mistress? Write our word of rest in the comments. Place of rest. My beloved, the silence that now envelops us is not emptiness, but the fullness of my presence that has settled beside you, in this very place where you find yourself. Feel the warmth that warms your chest, and the lightness that touches your face like a gentle wind that blows after a stormy afternoon. You arrived here with a heavy heart, carrying the weight of one who has become accustomed to begging for crumbs of hope. But now your soul breathes the pure air of the mountains of my kingdom. I saw every tear you shed while listening to my voice, and each one was collected and kept in my wineskin, for they are the seeds of your new season. Remember that at the beginning of this encounter, I made you a promise. I told you that if you stayed with me until the very last second, I would reveal a key, a whispered phrase that would be the final answer to the anguish that brought you here. Well, this is the moment of revelation. The answer to your fear that little is not enough. The key that opens the portal to everything that I have planned for you is contained in 7 words that should become the oxygen of your spirit from now on. The word that heaven releases over your life today is this: I can do all things through him who strengthens me. This is not just a biblical phrase you've heard before. This is my declaration of power over your human weakness. When you say you can do all things, you are not speaking of your limited strength or your earthly bank account. You are speaking of my omnipotence that now works within you. I want you to seal this encounter in an unforgettable way. Write right now in the comments with all the authority of a daughter who recognizes her father. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. By writing these words, you are signing the contract for your new life of overflowing abundance and declaring to the spiritual world that scarcity no longer has dominion over your home. Our conversation today is only beginning to blossom within you, but I still have much more to show you. There are other secrets, other directions, and other embraces that I have prepared for your coming days. I invite you to continue walking with me, immersing yourself in the other messages I have reserved for you in the playlist of our Divine Love channel, The Voice of God. There, I will continue to whisper to your heart, guiding each of your steps until the complete plan unfolds before your eyes. Do not look any longer at the ground of your present need. Lift your eyes to the immensity of my eternal plan. I am your everything amidst all your littleness,